So, put the second round of the playoffs. Some teams are showing they probably finna take off, and some other teams are kind of showing there's going to be a fight for them, or some teams are fighting for their lives. But before we get to playoff talk, who's your favorite playoff player? I know who mine is. I want your answer first.
So far this year?
No, pick ever.
Oh, ever. Favorite playoff
who's your
player
favorite
ever?
playoff player?
Ooh, that's tough.
Like somebody you know, nothing else they gonna ball in the playoffs.
Dang, that's tough. Especially because these questions are always on the spot, so they're never pre-thought. So I might be forgetting someone. But when I just think of someone that I know is gonna perform in the playoffs, the easy go-to answer out of the top of my head is KD.
Okay.
Even that's including fair. This season, because it's like how easily he's able to put in just 30 and look unguardable out there.
50, 90 right now in the playoffs.
Right.
It probably went down after last night's game, but
in as bad of a shooting night that he had in the first half, particularly because he shot better in the second half to still do what he did, was pretty amazing. And then I'm gonna answer for this season, just since I didn't have a direct answer for that one. For this year is Luka easily. Like
even with being eliminated in the first round.
Even with being eliminated, to how he was hooping, it just gotta be. I'm not comparing the two.
No, go ahead.
But it just gotta be how it was watching Jordan in the 80s.
Struggling to get out the first round.
Yeah, but just how he killed the Celtics and Milwaukee those first 2 years, but was getting eliminated. I dropped 60 on the Celtics his second season, I believe.
Right, yeah.
And, I think he averaged about 30. He averaged 30 something against Milwaukee his rookie year, and it's just like he absolutely killing them to the point that it's like, man, when his team slightly catches up to him, is gonna be a problem.
I don't remember who it was on Twitter. I think it was Jason Staples, probably. He said that the Clippers are gonna be Luka's bad boy Pistons.
I think I did see that also. I do believe.
I don't know if it was Jason. I don't know if it was him or not, but I know it sounded like something he would tweet. But
yeah, and I'm not necessarily mad at that. I'm not mad at that. The only issue, the Pistons went to the finals.
Not a fact, but that was a good answer though. KD is a great playoff performer. I'm pretty sure anybody off the top of their head ask that question in the spur of the moment would say that.
And I wanted to answer that without saying Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the greatest playoff performer of all time.
No, yeah, definitely. But my favorite playoff performer of all time, I know there's gonna be a will where some people gonna hear his answer and be like, "What?" But y'all gotta go look him up. Look at his highlights back when this happened. John Salmons, anytime he got traded to the Bulls in the mid 2000s,
he would turn it up. Like he was crazy because he would be having a rough season.
Yep.
And then he'd get traded
in the second half.
He'd turn up in the second half, turn up in the playoffs. And then he'd be terrible the next year. He could trade again, turn up in the second half, turn up in the playoffs. Yeah,
he would be like a big difference maker for those Bulls teams in the playoff that just needed a wing scorer. Like I remember the first time he went to the Bulls and he did. Sacramento gave him a bag, struggling all that first half of the season. Of course, they traded him, ended back up in Chicago, got back in the playoffs. Was the wing scorer they needed again, and it's like. It was just always crazy to see him do that. Because we would always joke, like, I want to sign John Salmons to the second half of the season because, that's when he's going to be ready to play. But I think that's also a real sign of a hooper as well. Like, no matter how bad you're struggling, if you need me to get you there, I'm there.
Right. Yeah. That's in
if I worked a little harder, I could be there consistently. Right. But when it's time to turn up and hoop, I'm there to hoop for you.
That's why people respect playoff Rondo so much, because it's always Rondo can't shoot, Rondo can't do this and that in the playoff come, and he's Steph Curry from the three, and he's Vince Carter as he's dunking on people. It's definitely a group of players that turn it up in the playoffs. And shout out to John Salmons. That's how you know this is the hoopers. Like you gotta know some hoops to know John Salmons.
Right, definitely. And with that being said, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And this is the Hoopers Morning Run. Speaking of KD, the Milwaukee Bucks got a 2-point victory last night over the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 3-point 86.
Oh yeah, there's some free throws made at the end. Yeah. That game was real interesting because of course Milwaukee came out on fire, like a lot of these teams have been doing after some bad losses where they know they need that momentum early on, and when you can get in front of a home crowd is even better. So of course they started the first quarter 30-11, and then Brooklyn kind of basically with the offensive weapons they have, and ain't just the offensive weapons, but the IQ of those offensive players that they have, was able to cut the lead down honestly quite fast. They basically cut the lead down by halftime and had a chance to win in by the third quarter, but Milwaukee still had a lot of momentum, and Drew Holiday got going at the end.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to necessarily talk about Brooklyn because they lost. I want to talk about Milwaukee and what they did and didn't do, or what you saw that you did and didn't like. I already know where we're gonna start first, Giannis, and how they started running the offense when Brooklyn started to creep back into the game, where it became more Giannis ISO heavy at the top of the key, and
2020 Giannis, 2019 Giannis,
right, which hasn't been effective in the playoffs in the past. In the deeper you get, or this year so far. What did you see that you liked from Milwaukee? While they were kind of going back and forth with Brooklyn when Brooklyn caught back up.
Right. Well, I'm gonna just jump to the fourth quarter. What I liked in the fourth quarter was after going so Giannis heavy, which I just want to insert that I think Drew having a tough night made it easy to just revert to Giannis handling the ball the whole time. But down the stretch of that game, when KD was trying to put Brooklyn, he got them a lead and was tying the game, was putting them away. Milwaukee was playing through Chris Middleton, and I've been saying for the longest that he's one of their better free throw shooters. I don't know if he's their best free throw shooter, but I'm willing to say he's their best free throw shooter. I think he's their best perimeter offensive player.
Right.
And I've said for a while, I feel like they should play through him to close the game. He can shoot the three. He got mid-range. He has size to shoot over. Like Kyrie was guarding him. And Kyrie's a better defender than people give him his credit for. Okay. Chris Middleton, he's probably 6'7", but he looks 6'9" out there at times.
Yeah, he got those long, scratchy ankles.
Right.
He's still standing up
on. And he's not very athletic, so you could even say that he's kind of stiff. So his height just stands out, how he stands tall or whatever. Right. He shoots straight up. Very straight up. I really like them deciding to play through him in the fourth quarter, especially to counter what KD was doing, because after such a tough first half that KD had, he wasn't missing down the stretch of the game. And I love the fact that Chris Middleton wasn't missing either. Like they gave him the ball, he took them shots. Right. He took the last two or three shots.
That's what you got paid for as well.
Yeah, the last 2 or 3 shots he took, I didn't like. I thought he rushed them. Overall, he was getting a shot. He was getting into a spot. So he was taking his time. He was pulling up, and he was like, "All right, KD, your turn." So I really like that they did that. I like in the first half how when they got their lead, he playing through Giannis more in the post, trying to get that over the shoulder jump shot. I really hated when Brooklyn started going on their run, and like I said, Drew's having a tough night. So you go back to playing to Giannis. He's dribbling the ball up court. He's dribbling up into that three that he was 1 for 7, taking 1 for 8, whatever he finished with. And like it was sometimes where Giannis got the rebound and Drew be right there, and he would turn and give him the ball to bring it up to shoot that three. And I was like, just give Drew the ball. So I really hated that they went through that. But I like that in the end that they decided to play through Chris Middleton. And I think
even Drew a little more than Drew got the game. Got the game. Lead. Go ahead,
Giannis is not the Bucks' best perimeter player. He may be their best player, but he's not their best perimeter player. This is not the team with Eric Bledsoe at the point guard. Chris Middleton is the secondary star. So y'all don't really. This team is not the same, and they look real. The last 3 seasons that I've seen them at certain points last night, which made me. I tweeted after the game that I got the Nets in 5 because of that. Because Bud doesn't want to make those adjustments, and when stuff got tough, they went back to that stuff that doesn't work. It makes Giannis so easy to guard. Shout out to Giannis. Giannis is a really great player. He does what he does great. He affects the games in a lot of ways. He's not the offensive threat that they've tried to make him be. So putting the ball in his hand so much, like I saw him ISO and dribble sometimes. I was just like, just pass the ball, bro. Pass, move, get in the post.
No, yeah, because I think at the end of the day, before I get to a question, I want to ask you, with players like Giannis and a team that they have around him with ball handlers like Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, let's make his job easier. Like, if you can't get by him, pass, set a screen, get to the post, whatever, just simple basketball. And Bud is making simple basketball difficult. But I think you said this before. I don't want to directly quote you on it. I don't want to misquote you. But I've seen this over the past couple of weeks. And it always comes up around playoff time or at the end of the season when we see some of these flaws and limits of Giannis's game. But do you think Milwaukee were better off just playing him at 5 and get a true stretch 4?
No, I do like him at the 4 because I think Brook Lopez was really important last night. And the fact that Brook shoots so well, I don't think it matters or whatever because Brook plays on.
Just get Giannis in the post.
Yeah, just get Giannis in the free throw line extended or the post more because Brook is in the corner or at the top of the key. He's not playing in the paint. So Brook isn't necessarily in his way. Giannis is kind of in Brook's way because and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday because he's at the top so much.
The other wing
out there. He's at the top so much. That's not his game. Like I seen him a couple times. He's trying to make dribble moves, and it's like I get it. You want to extend your game. You want to have extra stuff in your package, but like. Everyone can't be KD, obviously, but sometimes just even look at Devin Booker. We've talked about Devin Booker. These are different players, obviously, but just having the simplified game of like Devin Booker knows he's not Kyrie, so he's not trying to give you every dribble combo. He's getting to his spots and shooting. And Giannis was dribbling the ball way too much last night. He needs to be making purposeful moves and going to get a bucket or making a pass. The dribbles, the in and outs. It just wasn't getting him.
None working, right? Especially because they're already dropping so far back off you.
And he's not being his man. They're not jumping. It's just not working. And then you're not because they know you're not just about to pull up for that mid-range shot. So that's what makes it so easily guardable. It doesn't matter how many times you dribble at the top of the key. I know you're trying to get past me to get to the paint because you're not gonna shoot that top of the key jump shot. It doesn't help.
Not even gonna shoot that free throw jump shot.
Right.
That should just be a little touch shot.
Yeah. But and he should have it in his package, but he doesn't at the moment.
No, all right. But on to other teams who are winning the series. We have the Utah Jazz, who looks like they're taking full control of this Clipper series. And I know the old adage goes, the series doesn't start until you get a win on the other team's court. Well, what if the other team don't win a game? Like,
exactly right. Yeah,
and I'm not saying the Clippers are going to get swept because I think Kawhi is a much better player than that. And I think Paul George is a much better player than that. I think Ty Lue is a better coach than that. But Utah don't look like they finna take any blows this series, honestly.
Yeah, Utah looks like they're running really well. Jordan Clarkson had 24 last night. I think Spider had 24 in the first half, finished with 37. Shout out to Donovan Mitchell. Like the ascension he's making into the league. I think people are going to pay more and more attention to him as being maybe the best shooting guard in the NBA. But I can't. Utah definitely looks really good. They like legit title contender, which they are. Joe Ingles, it's always personal when he played Paul George. For whatever reason, right? Right. But I do kind of agree, especially in the second round against a team like the Clippers that has these vets. Like they're going to play better at home. Right. So Utah winning game 3 will tell me more than them winning game 1 and 2. I mean, that's even like I said about Milwaukee and how they got destroyed in game 2. And I was like, that don't mean the series is over. I think Brooklyn's going to win, but that don't mean it's over. Right. Milwaukee can come and win both these games at home, and now it's 2-2. Right. And I would not be surprised to see the Clippers win. I said the whole Dallas series when people say after every game, because a lot of y'all on NBA Twitter don't want to admit it, but you just don't want the Clippers to win. People don't like Paul George because he gave himself his own nickname and haven't lived up to it. I guess it's a little bit of hate, not necessarily for Kawhi because everyone knows.
I won't call it hate, but I will call it.
People don't like
a level of dislike.
Yeah, people don't like how he put together the team and the Clippers, and he went there. And of course, you got the Lakers fans who salty because they think he held them hostage, which he didn't. But whatever. But the Clippers aren't going away because Kawhi isn't going away. Just like I said against Dallas, Kawhi can easily score 40 in game 3, and the Clippers are going to win that game. So Utah winning and on the Clippers court will tell me more than them winning at home when I expect Donovan Mitchell to play Donovan Mitchell gonna play well anyway, but you're gonna get more impact from everyone at home, especially your role players. So, everyone begged for Luke Kennard to play, which he didn't play. Then he plays game 7 at home. He has a good game. Last night he was unplayable. So he's gonna play better at home. Reggie Jackson had a big game. But like Rondo didn't play last night. I'm sure he'll play better at home. Marcus Morris plays better at home. Batum plays better at home. These vets. So I would expect good games out of them.
Speaking of unplayable, real quick before I talk about the defensive player of the year, Patrick Beverley has become unplayable as these playoffs. Yeah. You would think he will play more because of the smaller guards and there would be guards he could check.
Why you think?
But he still can't really get in the rotation. And I think we're seeing not the end of Patrick Beverley's career, but this is where Patrick Beverley starts to deteriorate in his career. Excuse me, y'all. Right. But on to the defense player of the year.
Well, to your point real quick though, because he played more last night than I expected him to play. But the Clippers have better guards now than they've had before, and just as a smaller, undersized guard, that's aging as well. No disrespect. He's
no
getting
offensive.
older. We've been talking about Patrick Beverley for years now.
Yeah. The next 5 years supposed to be here, so
you know,
you're number 2 and it's still not his or whatever.
Defensively, your age will help you defensively because you're young, you're athletic, especially the type of player he is, aggressive and now you're getting older. So if you're not giving what he gives defensively, he's always lacked offensively. So Right. And Reggie Jackson, Rondo didn't even play last night, but Reggie Jackson is a better player than him.
Before I make a comment on Rondo, then defensive player, shout out to Ken. Beverly is just a distraction at this point, and nobody's distracted anymore. And
that's the key. Nobody's distracted. Nah, for real. That's it. That's
go to Ken for all your betting needs at Shooters Betting Pod, if I said that right. But shout out to Ken in Canada. We coming up there soon. Just come hang with you.
And for sure.
And irritate the press, but still, Lakers lost. But yeah, Patrick Beverley, like I say, once you're not that distraction anymore, and you're not really providing offense, I can't put you on the court.
And they've tried because they fought. They had fought. Patrick Beverley should have been moved to the bench. No, but they really fought it. They really fought it.
Him getting hurt made it easier.
Yeah, him getting hurt, and he's consistently gotten hurt over the last few years. Him getting hurt. Yeah. But he's been one of the people there. His reputation defensively. He will occasionally have those games where he makes some threes. So they've tried to play him, but it's really time to move on.
Right. But defensive player of the year was Rudy Gobert. It's his third one. I think it's his third in 4 years. Joining Mutombo, Ben Wallace, and Dwight Howard. That's the only other players with 3.
Should I say it?
Before you say it, 2 of those players are Hall of Famers. Ben Wallace going next year. Mutombo's already in. I think it's safe to say that once Dwight Howard retires, he'll be in. Yep. I'm not going to ask you whether Rudy Gobert is a Hall of Famer or not.
I was going to ask you. I say it.
No, you don't have to say it. I'm not going to ask that. But he's winning. I'm not going to argue against it right now this morning. But what does that say about his defensive reputation just to be able to win it that many times? Right. Regardless of how you feel or who you think should win, and what does that say about his defensive reputation?
Right. I'm going to keep it 100% positive because it is some things I do think about Rudy Gobert winning Defensive Player of the Year. It's just some things I think about him overall defensively. But I would say this.
He gets dunked on a lot for a defensive player. No,
not even just that. I just don't think he
dunked on him last night. I would have taken it. You can't get dunked on the night you win Defensive Player of the Year. I'm taking the award away from you.
He did that tomorrow night, though. But to win three is it does say, for one, he has been in the numbers. The numbers show it, obviously. He has been a dominant rim defender. And not even just the analytical number. He's always at the top of the traditional stats too, as far as with like blocks per game. He's usually in the top 3. He does make people think about going into the paint more, and it just shows the consistency that that's what he's done as far as, because this is his 3rd one in the past 4 seasons, right? Yeah. So to rack him up like that quick just shows.
Has he won 3 in a row?
No, because Giannis won last year. So I do know what Giannis won last year. So I think it puts him up there. I personally see that having that 3rd one is a precedent to make, because Ben Wallace is in the Hall of Fame. Dwight is going to the Hall of Fame. Mutombo's in the Hall of Fame. So there's a precedent that's set with that I don't know if he carries that mantle. But for this era of players and for the last 5, 6, 7 seasons, he has been one of the most dominant rim protecting defenders in the NBA. So shout out to him for that and winning those 3 awards, and you putting pressure on people to remember you all the time. So,
all right. Do you think he can win 4 on time Mutombo?
Mutombo has 4. That's the most.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Bill Russell doesn't have more defensive player. But it probably was another thing. Yeah, but this is my thing with him winning the award. I think it's just easy to give it to him also. And I don't want to disregard him winning the award, because I do think he's a great defender for what he does. But I think his analytical numbers are great because their team defense are great, and him being the anchor of that helps. He plays his part, obviously, but winning, I don't know if he's gonna win 4. I don't think he should have won it this year, honestly, but he got the award. But 4 is tough. 4 is definitely gonna be tough. Is Mutombo the only person with 4? You just said that, right?
Yeah.
He's the only person.
Ben Wallace.
No, Ben Wallace has 3. He for sure has 3.
So that's Mutombo there. Shout out to Kim Mutombo, Atlanta Hawks legend.
Yeah, I already know it.
But yeah, speaking, so I just want to stay in the West real quick. We have Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker both over there. I know Jokic just won the MVP, but his team is down low too, so I don't want to really talk about him right now. I think
they're gonna have to help him out there in Denver. Jokic's playing by himself.
No, yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. They're gonna have to start helping him soon. But Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell, I think we were talking about it the other day. You was asking, or I was asking, I don't know, one of us asking, is Devin Booker the best shooting guard in the West? And I think, and you said something about Donovan Mitchell putting his name out there for best shooting guard in the NBA. And I think then you got Trey in the East as a point guard though. But where do you think Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell honestly rank right now? Like not even just as shooting guard, but just as players.
Right. I think as players, and I think a lot of people have to just get, especially shout out to the young players hooping in the playoffs, because this is what everyone says they want to see. So I think they're putting pressure on people to move past the traditional thinking, not the traditional thinking, but just the recently thinking of these are the top players just based off of their reputation of the past few years. It's like it's easy to say, oh, Devin Booker can't be a top 15 player. He hasn't made the playoffs, even though he's averaged 25 the last 3 years. Now he's in the playoffs. He performed. Donovan Mitchell's not a top whatever player. They haven't really advanced, and he's only did this. You can't name me at worst 20 players, and I'm being generous with 20. I really want to say 15, but you can't name me 20 players better than Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, and Trae Young in the NBA right now. You might name 20 better careers than theirs right now.
That's a big difference,
right? It's a difference. But if we're talking about like players that we're picking as a top 20 players in the NBA right now, I don't see how they really top 15. That's what I really want to say. I don't see how they are on your list, especially in particular for me, Donovan. Well, those three in particular, Donovan. I was really thinking about Trae this morning about his ranking. And Devin Booker, because Devin Booker, he definitely has, like I said, he has 3 straight seasons of 25 a game, and now we see him in the playoffs, and he's giving you 23 whatever a game. You got a 40-point game in the playoffs, almost 50-point game. So it's like he was putting up buckets when they were terrible, and he's showing up in the playoffs. He's really only had one bad game, subpar game or whatever.
Right.
So I think they're putting people on notice, and like especially considering I think we're gonna end up getting, if not Utah, Phoenix. We're going to get one of them in the conference finals. And, I mean, realistically, it's looking like we might get one of them in the finals, which would be great to see. I hope. I will be on record. I don't have them right now. I don't know who I got. I'm waiting to see what's in the conference finals. I came into this saying the Clippers would make it. I do want to say that. But I think it's going to be a Utah or Phoenix NBA finals this year. 93 Charles Barkley, 97 John Stockton, Karl Malone. I think Utah Phoenix is going to make it this year. Both of them look really good. Chris Paul is healthy again. But their team overall mesh well, and their best players are stepping up. Donovan Mitchell, like throughout the year, people probably reluctant to pick Utah because it's like, Donovan Mitchell their best player. But is he really their best player? It's Donovan Mitchell is a Rudy Gobert, because sometimes you got to have that unless the two players are so great, Steph and KD, LeBron and Wade, that you need one to stand out. And even then, those situations, you can say LeBron stood out, KD stood out in a situation. And I think Donovan Mitchell is showing that we are a great team, but I'm better than everybody on this team.
Right, because at the end of the day, he does what you need done to be a championship winning team.
Yeah.
He can get you ISO buckets in the playoffs when you need ISO buckets. And not just threes, we get tough layups, mid-range shots. Right, he wants those shots. He can create off the dribble without a pick, which – I'm going to say this real quick, and I never thought I'd say this is way too many picks, unnecessary pick and roll situations where players already got the mismatch and you still want to come set a pick.
He's going out of habit.
Right. I don't remember who it was last night, but somebody wanted to set somebody a pick. It was Joe Harris and KD. KD had already had the mismatch on whoever was guarding him, and Joe Harris was coming to set a pick. Like, nah, move, bro.
Right,
like,
KD was telling him move. Like,
I got it already.
Which is the whole point of the pick.
Right, that's what it was. He was bringing PJ Tucker over on the pick. Like, I know he can show PJ Tucker too, but he had Pat Connaughton on him. Is what it was. Like,
why would you want PJ Tucker?
And like I say, it's out of habit because Joe Harris is also trying to get himself open to create some misdirection. But it's like sometimes you got to let those players go to work. And I think Quinn Snyder does a good job of that with not Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, but Muncie Williams also with Devin Booker and Chris Paul as well. Like, he lets them go ISO and do what they're supposed to do to help you win these games.
Yeah, for sure.
But game tonight, Atlanta, Philly in Atlanta game 3. We seen Philly come back and get a big win, the win they definitely needed. It kind of at the end, it kind of, Atlanta, like, we lose this game, it doesn't matter, we're coming back home, but they still try to get a win. What's gonna be the difference in getting this win tonight? I don't. First and foremost, Joel Embiid is basically averaging 35, 36 or whatever on a partially torn meniscus.
38 game 1, 40 game 2.
My bad, yeah, so. Like 58. No, but what does? Okay, first, what does Atlanta need to do to slow down the guy on a partially torn meniscus?
Right.
And what does Philly need to do to pick up a win in Atlanta?
Honestly, if I'm Atlanta, I'm letting Embiid score, and I'm just going to stop everybody else. Because they really, even though you have Capella's really all you got for Embiid. And shout out to Capella, but he can't guard Joel Embiid. Torn meniscus, partially torn, fully healthy, it doesn't matter. Embiid has destroyed Atlanta the last couple of years. Embiid's a top 5 player in the NBA. And that just is what it is.
I feel you.
So I'm putting pressure on Tobias. I'm putting pressure on Steph Curry. I'm putting pressure on Ben Simmons. Taking away, make sure Danny Green isn't scoring. Don't let Shake Milton get off. And then you just kind of let Embiid. If they're off, you're gonna force Embiid to take more shots than he want to take. And he's not a player that wants to just jack up shots. Right. But if stuff isn't falling, now he's just gonna be shooting. Right. So even though his number may look high at the end of the night, 45 points, 40 points, 38 points, 35 points, he's probably going to take 25 shots. So he's getting shots and he's out of this game. So if I'm Atlanta, that's what I want to do. For Philly to get this win, you still need Ben to be aggressive. You need your shooters to make their shots. Steph Curry, Shake Milton had a solid game last game, Danny Green. And you got to try to contain, because you're not going to stop it. You got to try to contain what Trey does, which, they're throwing a lot of big bodies out of him, so at least you're not just looking at the rim. Ben has been on them. Danny Green, you're throwing Thibault out there. These are all players with size. DeAndre Hunter being out is going to really hurt the Hawks.
That's another score, another defender that you're losing.
Because even since coming back from injury, he didn't regain what he was getting as a scorer because he was becoming a go-to wing scorer for the Hawks, but he still was there defensively. So that's a player that's not going to be able to, guard Tobias.
I think that freed up Tobias.
Right, yeah, and even if you want to slow down Ben as far as in transition, and he guards Steph Curry.
Right.
So it's definitely going to hurt. DeAndre Hunter's the Hawks' second best player. So
I was just going to ask you something about the Hawks.
Yeah, so I think missing him is going to hurt. So you're really going to need Trey to go off tonight and take advantage in the pick and roll. You got to put, make Embiid guard because he is on that meniscus. Partially torn meniscus, so you have to really make him guard. And Trey's gonna have a big series going forward.
I mean,
he can.
Yeah. But anyway, about the Hawks, John Collins is of course going to be an upcoming free agent, restricted. Do you sign him to the max? Just yes or no, real quick. Because his max is probably going to be closer to like what Swiper got because he's been good, but he hasn't made any All-Star games or anything like that. But I think he was all-rookie first team or second team, but he hasn't really done anything to command over the top max.
I'm going to say, even though I want John to stay in Atlanta, I don't want to sign him to the max. I don't want to get John Collins $160, $170 million. I don't think he's necessarily earned that yet. I like him better in the – he deserves $100 million, $120. I give him 120. Or whatever. I don't know what the cap numbers look like. We don't got to go too deep into the cap, but that's the range. Like after just to give him that discount to grow my team. I mean, not to
it's 4 years, 125 is what shout out to Chris LeBron, the president. He was saying that's what he think he can sign for.
If the Hawks can lock up John Collins for 4 years, 125, I would do that. I would do that. That's not bad. I thought he was going to be in the 160 to 170 range, and that's when it gets like
a little shaky.
Yeah. But for 4 years, 125, keep this team together because you want to continue to grow them together. Him and Trey have a good relationship. He's also a good counter for DeAndre Hunter. He can play some small ball center. Yep. He's expanded his range, and he's just a player that people like in Atlanta. Period. He's well respected in the city. He's played in, some of our programs out here, and he's a player that fans like, and I think that matters in those decisions. Right. The dollars isn't just all about the all-star appearances, but that goes into it. You know, you want the all-star appearances, you want the fan connections, you want the relationship with the players on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think John Collins was the starting building block of what we got. We got him first, and you add Trey, you add DeAndre. So I definitely like him back for 4 years, 125 million. Yeah, no problem.
So
I thought we was going to say 170.
No, I don't think. Yeah, like I say,
come on,
like I say, he hasn't really, like I say, he does have all the other stuff, but he doesn't really have the actual NBA accolades to command that much right now. But Trae Young will also be up, and he'll be eligible for the rookie supermax. And I was having an interesting thought. I mean, you know, I always say if I'm a young player, even if I'm sure I don't necessarily want to sign a long-term, like 4 years is long now in the NBA for a contract. I wouldn't necessarily want to sign that. But I was also thinking, well, if you can get John signed now, maybe we can still kind of go to Steph Curry. I know that's because Steph was who he was at that time, which is why he signed that deal. But what if I could sign maybe a cap-friendly contract for my team, and I know I still get the big money regardless?
Right.
Would you ever think about doing that as a player, especially if you can see you got a young team and you want to keep this young team together? Would you ever think of that as a young player?
I think more young players will, because they are going to give themselves more flexibility too, you know, in case things don't go the way they go. But in the moment when the money's put in your face, that contract's there, Atlanta's going in the right direction. And I think Trae, I would give him the supermax.
Yeah, definitely.
I would give him his supermax. You know, I said this year he wasn't gonna make the All-Star game just because I knew it was trending that way, because Atlanta was struggling at that point. But he should have been an All-Star this year. He was an All-Star starter last year. Trae is an All-NBA player. He's the top 15 player in the NBA right now. He's a top 15 player in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And I think the Hawks are only going to get better. So I definitely, Trae should be the face of the Hawks for the next, 10 years. You put other people around him to continue to grow the team, especially, he's really utilized his playmaking skills. But I definitely will give Trae his supermax for sure.
Oh yeah, Devin, I know. And do you think he's gonna sign that supermax?
I think he is, because it's just so different nowadays. Because you in the NBA before, in the early 2000s and before that, you really had to get to your third deal before you really cashed out. You sign your rookie deal, your next deal will probably be 40, 50, 60 million, but they putting 200 million in these boys' face after being in the league 3 years. It's like, how do you turn that down? Like, if you come at Trae, which they're not, but like, let's say his extension was such and such for 100 million, 3 years, 4 years, 100 million, which still is a lot per year.
Right.
It's easier to be like, nah, I'm gonna take this and wait. But when they come at you with 180, it's like, what did you do? $180 million, and in the moment the Hawks are winning, they're getting better. They're probably gonna convince Nate McMillan to take the job, so he come back. So you and Nate have a good relationship. Yeah. You cool with the people on the team. The city likes Trae. He's cool with the rappers here. He's cool with the local restaurants here. Adidas is giving him campaigns here, and he could be that next player to be stamped as far as who we drafted, because we had Joe Johnson, but we signed Joe. Yeah. So it really hasn't been a Hawks player that's been stamped through the draft since that stayed was Dominique, because we had Mutombo, but then Mutombo got traded away or whatever.
And we didn't draft Mutombo either.
Exactly right. Didn't draft Mutombo either, and I wouldn't even think about that. I believe the last drafted, Trae would be the last drafted All-Star, but before him it was like Kevin Willis or something like that.
Al Horford.
Yeah, I'm missing.
But because Al Horford wasn't that star.
He wasn't that star player. Yeah, he was. Like, Trae is the first superstar since Dominique that was drafted by the Hawks. And Dominique, he got a street named after him out here. It's a statue of Dominique in front of State Farm Arena, and Trae could build that same reputation here.
Right. They should change, which is no longer Spring Street, Ted Turner Drive to Trae Young Boulevard. Y'all gonna change
not yet.
Y'all gonna change. They gonna change from Spring Street,
right? But not yet. But we'll take it. Right down the street from there, Dominique Wilkins.
All right, boom. Yeah, exactly. It's the next street. Basically, the next street over.
Yeah,
so Trae Young Boulevard, Dominique Wilkins. Just not Ted Turner driving, but that ain't got nothing to do with basketball. I know people, before we get out here, a lot of people have been saying, I've been re-seeing that, of course, there's been a lot of blowouts in the playoffs this year, and some people find that a tad bit unentertaining. Some people saying the bubble was better last year because there wasn't, because it was just good basketball being played.
Don't agree.
Okay, well, yeah, but really, how do you actually feel about it for real though? I think
this is the NBA, and people have been shocked by the blowouts throughout the whole year when I just really haven't. It happens. Teams have gotten blown out in the league, in the association. They got blown out in the finals, and then you bounce back the next day and you come in and have a win. Blowouts happen, especially nowadays too, where when a team see you don't have it that night, they just kind of hang it up, and we just gonna prepare for the next game. So obviously you don't want blowouts, but I mean, have we not seen exciting games? Game 2, Atlanta Knicks. The game 1 of Atlanta and the Hawks was a good game.
Philly.
Atlanta Philly. Yeah, Atlanta Philly was a good game. The whole Luka Dallas series.
Dane dropped a 50 piece.
Yeah, like it's been too many exciting games. I'm glad Edgar he chimed in today because I just randomly wore my Atlanta shirt, so you get to look at this from home.
Sheldon Williams getting the statue. I mean,
wow.
You know what?
He deserves it.
He deserves it.
Tell him why.
You want to tell him or you want me to tell him?
Tell him why he deserves it.
He does deserve a statue. He deserves a statue in the middle of America for putting Candace Parker on child support as an NBA player.
That's exactly right. He deserves a statue.
He deserves a big statue.
Real quick on Sheldon Williams, though. That was Atlanta draft nightmares because they promised Sheldon Williams they was going to draft him number 5, and none of us ever understood why. Till this day, I don't know why Sheldon Williams got that guarantee.
And it was funny because I remember those Hawks teams so vividly because we were going to games in middle school because we were getting those free tickets. And we were getting tickets from my grandmother because she was had a thing in the what she would get season tickets from somebody. But they drafted for like 4 straight years. They drafted the same built player: Marvin Williams, Josh Smith, Josh Childress, Sheldon Williams, signed Joe Johnson. Their whole first 8 players were 6'5" to 6'9", small forward, shooting guard, power forward type players.
Yeah, I guess Sheldon was technically supposed to be a power forward center,
right? But it was like everybody that paid attention to basketball was asking, why we got so many 6'9"
We were like the Lions to put on some football. So we were like when the Lions drafted a receiver every year. So it was terrible.
And then we draft AC Law, who gets out the lineup immediately. Then we signed Mike Bibby and with no other point guard. So it's like 5'11" Mike Bibby with 4 6'9" players on the court.
Man, it was crazy. That was definitely insult. Hey, Joe Johnson was leading us to the playoffs, so shout out to ISO Joe.
Who's gonna start in place with DeAndre Hunter tonight? That's a tough one because it's probably gonna be Hoarder, even though you don't want to really break your rotation. It's probably gonna have to be Hoarder.
Yeah, because do
you really want to start Dino?
Actually, I think they're gonna start Solomon Hill.
But he don't really want to play solo. He don't really want to start solo or Tony Snell. He's gonna have to, though.
I think he will
if he don't want to break his rotation.
Yeah, I think he will just to break the rotation. I think it's gonna be Solomon and Tony Snell are the 2 players I dislike the most on the Hawks. So that's not gonna be a good look.
Oh, and speaking of Sheldon Williams, we did mention it last week on the Hoopers Morning Run, but shout out to Coach K for a great career he's had. I've never been a Duke fan, to tell the truth. He's had some players that I've liked, but I've never been a Coach K. I've never been a Duke fan. But shout out to Coach K and the excellent career he's had as a college coach and with the men's Olympic team.
Yeah, I've definitely always respected Coach K.
Oh yeah,
my respect level for him went to a different level once he took over Team USA. Though, so shout out to Coach K. I know it was time for him to retire.
He started to sound like an old man.
Yeah, because he had been there for a while. But I just hate that him and Roy Williams had to go out how they did. Because I think the year, not just them losing, but the pandemic and all that impacted their decision more so than just all right, I'm done with this part of the game. I think that definitely played a part. And then Coach K lost a player in the middle of the season because of he wasn't performing. And then you got so many people in players' ears nowadays. It's just crazy. So I wish that they could have went out better ways. That's why I'm glad Coach K is going to coach through this season and then retire because he got a chance to have go out on a good year. But Roy had to kind of go out how he went out with North Carolina not having a great year. But both of them won championships in the last 5 years. So salute to them.
So, okay, I know said John Shire was going to take it. What do you think about that?
I think it's cool because I knew it was going to be I figured it was going to be him. I figured he was going to be in waiting.
That's what everybody
and I can remember John Shire playing that Duke and being a problem because John Shire was a problem once he took over. I know he's not further up in the ranks yet, but I would like Nolan Smith to get that job because I wanted to see a black head coach take over at Duke, which is why I was happy that Hubert got the job in North Carolina.
No, yeah.
But I don't really want to
talk
about
I was thinking, because I remember Gino said this a couple years ago about if he would ever coach the men's UConn team. He was like, nah, he said he was going to Duke. Yeah. I mean, much like say you got John Shire and Wayne, but I would definitely like Gino. What you still thinking about it?
Gino probably about to retire soon too.
No, yeah,
I hope he coaches as long as he wants, but
no, yeah. I think on a professional level with players, and then on the collegiate level with coaches, I think we finna see a lot of turnover and change to some younger players and younger coaches. Yeah. Penny down at Memphis, Jerry Stackhouse at Vanderbilt. I think we're gonna.
In Michigan.
Right, Juwan in Michigan. I think we're gonna see a lot more of that as well. These former players. Gary Payton's at. Is it Liberty? Gary Payton just got a head coaching job as well. I can't remember. I think it was. I think it is Liberty. Even with Dion in college football.
Yeah.
And when he signed, it was all the rumors about how he was gonna build his basically super coaching staff with Warren Sapp and Terrell Owens and all of those guys like that. And I think it's a good thing because now we are getting to see those players. Some of these players did grow up watching like Penny play and Jerry Stackhouse play. John Shire is a Duke legend. So when you go to Duke, not only are you going to see John Shire pictures up on the wall of him in game-winning shots, the clutch baskets, the championship year,
right?
But you're actually going to be directly talking to him, so he could tell you what it's like to be a player inside Cameron Indoor.
And he come right from the Coach K tree,
right? So.
And I think too, we're getting into player because of players like Penny, in particular, Jerry Stackhouse. Those were era players that had so much charisma in their game.
Oh snap! Shout out Daniel Artest.
Oh yeah, they have so much charisma in their game. I think that they relate to the younger players. Like you see Penny on the sideline in some phone pauses. Like I would love to play for that coach.
No, yeah, you know I mean? It was even like Roy Williams.
Just something simple like that. Something simple like that.
He get it right, and then he has a good cool coach staff with Mike Miller as one of his assistants.
Yeah,
who absolutely giving them buckets in practice. Like they can't stop him. Like he's the NBA vet. You know how to get him.
When you got to compete against your coaches every day, it just make practice even better. They can really run 5 on you and pick up some wins if y'all don't play.
Play right. No, so, yeah, definitely.
I definitely like the wave that college is going to. I wonder if it's going to stick that way. Shout out to Juwan Howard. He's been telling NBA teams that he's not leaving Michigan. Apparently,
Patrick Ewing started it with Georgetown.
Yeah, Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. Yeah. But Penny is apparently going to get courted by a lot of NBA teams, and I hope those teams. I hope he does whatever he wants to do, whatever he feels comfortable with. But I would really like to see him stay at Memphis and keep building what he pretty much started at Memphis, going to Memphis State himself. But they're definitely going to try and steal those coaches away. Shout out to all those, from them giving back to the players.
No, yeah, definitely. So. Shout out to Penny. I know it got James Wiseman and some collegiate eligibility problems last year, but he basically helped James Wiseman his senior year, moving him closer to the city of Memphis, inside the city of Memphis. So his playing situation will be a little better. Right. He was on his AAU team already anyway, so it makes sense. So
I agree though, Chris. I definitely wanted Nolan to take that job. I know he wasn't far enough in the ranks to do it yet.
Right.
And Solomon. I see you talking about Solomon here right there. John Shire apparently was the lead recruiter for Zion and Jason Tatum. I think that says something, but at the same time, for me personally, it doesn't really say that because top players gonna go where they want. I don't think but whatever. He's gonna do a good job there, though. For sure. Yeah. And then, you said shout out to Dan Artest for tuning in with us, getting that morning work in. It's nothing like that early morning run. You know what I mean? That's how you set yourself apart. So,
right. Appreciate you for tuning in. Who else we got up here?
And then, of course, you got it.
Are we starting to see the NBA transition away from LeBron era into a new crop of players?
I got a secret for y'all. We've been going away from LeBron. Ooh. The Lakers won last year. That kind of put a damper in it. But LeBron,
and to be fair, he says this off camera as well. Like he's not just saying this because he does feel this way. He does actually feel like a lot of people need to get off the older players and start appreciating some of the younger players that's playing right now. He truly does feel that way.
But I think the younger players are making people see that though. Even in the loss, Jason Tatum scoring 40, 50 in the first round. Like I said, what Donovan's been doing, Trae Young, what we see Devin Booker starting to do, Luka.
Even Embiid, because I think people forget how young Embiid is as a player because he's been so good since he's played, and the first 3 or 4 years he was out with injury.
Look at your MVP, Jokic. Jokic just 25, 26. when you think of those players, it's just easy to think of Giannis, but it's
Anthony Davis, those players that you've been hearing, but it is other players. Like even Michael Porter, who had 26 points in the first half in the game last week against Portland.
Right.
Like it's a crop of young players out who are great.
The young dudes are ready to take over though, for sure. So the NBA is in a really good place. And it's a lot of talent.
Right. Chris LeBron, we're gonna see a new wave of young coaches and get that old mindset of coaches out. That's very true. And one coach who I'm continuously disappointed in, on the college level is Tom Izzo, and the way he's a tad bit over aggressive with his players. And I know I grew up playing in that era where a coach would grab on you and kind of get up in your face unnecessarily. But I do think that is something that it's not necessary now. You can talk to players and get them to understand what you're trying to tell them to do, or tell them where they messed up and where they went wrong at.
Yeah, for sure. So I agree with that. And I think Michigan State needs a new coach, but Tom Izzo gonna hold it down as long as he wants.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. They're not gonna make Tom Izzo go and say he's ready to go. But that's just something, that's just a thought I've had, and because he's the one coach I see do it more than any other coach. It's kind of like
he's gonna get away with it.
No, yeah, because he's Tom Izzo. He got his one championship. Takes this.
Izzo got one championship.
Yeah, he just gets to the Final Four. He just takes his seniors to Final Fours.
Yeah, that's true. He got one championship. Wow.
Yeah, Flintstones. Team Cleves, Chase Richardson, all those guys.
Right. Yep.
Bo Pete.
That's crazy, and that's a long time ago.
No, that would have been right at the beginning of what that would have been 99 or 2000, not Cash Money Records.
I believe 2000.
Because it would have been like them and UConn, kind of in a back-to-back, with kind of had the same built teams. My team Cleves, Quadell, Alameen, the fat chubby point guards.
Right. Yeah, that was a long time ago. And one more comment. Izzo losing Imani Bates. I'm interested to see what Imani's gonna do. So we're gonna stay tuned in.
I know you always got a top thing because of course everybody thinks he's gonna go to the G League, go overseas. But as you always like to say, top recruits don't have to do that.
Yeah, like
not necessarily top recruits, but top picks don't have to do that.
I would say Imani isn't just a top recruit. He's people gonna fight it and they're gonna say this player and that player because everyone don't want to have the same mind. Imani is the best player in his class, easily, by far. I don't even think it's close, honestly. He's the best player in the country. He's been the best player in the country for the past few seasons.
Really. And we got a friend that's up in Michigan, so he actually fills us in on how good he actually is. But with that being said, you got anything else for him?
Nah, just always appreciate all the viewers that get up early with us and get your early morning runs in. We here every Friday on the Off the Ball Network's Facebook page, the Hoopers Twitter page, and on the Hoopers YouTube page. So Hoopers Morning Run every Friday at 9 a.m. And then you can catch us every Monday and Friday on the Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app. Pull out your phones right now. If you already don't have it, download the Dash Radio app. Go to the Nothing But Net channel. Off the Ball Network is running that channel currently. Shout out to Chris LeBron breaking the game. Shout out to Mo. Shout out to Jelani. These are all Off the Ball Network shows that you can find on the Nothing But Net channel. And then you can find the Hoopers every Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. for the Hoopers Hour, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Monday and Friday, Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app. And of course, you can also find us anywhere podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora. We're a little bit everywhere. So just search the Hoopers Pod, International Professional Podcasters.
Right.
And
search SoundCloud if you want to find some original episodes where we really saying some stuff.
Yeah, definitely go to SoundCloud and you can hear the first couple episodes on there. But just keep a close eye also on the YouTube. Need everyone, when you get a chance, go ahead and go to the YouTube, search the Hoopers Pod, subscribe to that channel, and we got more content coming through there for sure.
Right.
So yeah. And before we go, we definitely taking over like DJ Khaled in 2011 with the Lil Wayne verse.
Right. Oh, and once again, as I said on Twitter, Off the Ball Network is the Wu-Tang of the social media network, of the social media age.
Yeah.
Of course, with that being said, this is Ghostface, Raekwon, John W, Fresh X. Oh, and once more time, don't forget to catch us on the Halftime app. We will be doing some rooms on there real soon. Our first room, I'm saying now, I don't know when we're going to do it. I'm going to drop a post on there to let y'all know, but it will be on Kevin Durant and this year's playoffs.
Yep.
And he will be the spotlight of the Hoopers room.
Yeah,
on
so
the
definitely,
Halftime app.
Yeah, definitely look forward to the Hoopers room where we're going to highlight, just players of the past. Like I said, first one is playoff Kevin Durant, playoff KD. And then, you never know who we're gonna talk about in the room. So it's definitely gonna be cool to talk to like-minded individuals. It's just people with, other mindsets about players in the past who are currently hooping, used to hoop, maybe somebody you forgot about. We can talk about anybody. Send some suggestions of players that might have got lost, some seasons that players might have that don't come up. And that's what you're going to get from us on the Halftime app through the Hoopers Room. Shout out to the Halftime app. It's a pretty dope space to be in.
And with that being said, one more time, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
And this was the Hoopers Morning Run.
See you later, players.